live documentary, which is a very exciting new genre with Spike Jonze.
Now here's a little story that I got to tell about three bad brothers that you know so well. It started way back in history with Ad Rock, MCA, and me, Mike D.
The show in Brooklyn was a live version of the history of the Beastie Boys that the two remaining Beastie Boys told. That becomes part of this living documentary film, using old footage and interviews, where the show is the baseline interview for the whole project.
Hello, everyone. What we're gonna do right here is go back, way back into time.
As much as this film is a love letter to and the Beastie Boys, it's also a love letter to the New York that doesn't exist anymore.
When the Beastie Boys broke up, when MCA died, the two remaining Beastie Boys, Mike D and Ad Rock, wrote a book, and it's a beautiful book about their story, and that was kind of the end of the Beastie Boys. Spike had been friends with them for many, many years and decided to take a version of what was their book tour and put on a Broadway show. But the Broadway show is actually just fodder to replace talking head interviews in the form of a documentary. So we put on this live show with, stage props and wagons and this giant screen to tell the story of the Beastie Boys chronologically. But really, Spike was using that as the baseline narrative by which he could make a film documentary about. What's amazing about it is, for the first time watching a documentary, you hear and feel an audience with you when these people are telling their story.
Adam Yauch was the driving force. The one that not only gets themselves going and doing great things, but says we should all do this.
For this project in particular, we had to make sure that the show was interesting for the live audience, because the way the audience interacts with the live show feel when you're watching the movie, because instead of just a boring interview, you have this crowd reaction. So it was partially about how to develop a stage play with props and set pieces that could help don't make it in the movie. It was for the audience reaction.
There's not that many times in your life when you realize you're in a new chapter.
The Beastie Boys are back after a 6-year absence.
We used a lot of still photography as opposed to footage. There's a lot of video in Cómo that you'll see that they are interacting with, because there's this giant screen. But we also used a lot of still photographs that have never been seen before that help tell the story. So there's literally either a still photograph for every moment of their lives all the way. And they looked into their private lives and private art that nobody's ever seen before. Every day, Mike D and Ad Rock and Spike would meet and talk about what stories from their history and what stories from the book were important to tell. And then as a group, we would all figure out the best way that we could visually express it. They were so involved from the very beginning. They were incredible storytellers. Incredible stories of their lives was just amazing.
The Beastie Boys.
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 The Beastie Boys.